Alright, what's going on everyone? Captain here back with another Marvel Contest of Champions video. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 champions that I think are worthy of using a 6-star Awakening Gem on. We're talking about 6 stars only, not 5 stars. The reason I'm talking about this is because we have Cyber Weekend, which is dropping tomorrow, which more than likely we're going to have a generic Awakening Gem in. If you are interested on who's worthy of a class-based gem, if you haven't seen my other videos in this series, this is actually the 7th video of this series. I've done one for each class. They're a little bit on the longer side because I go through a lot of characters in each class as to why or why not you shouldn't use a gem on them. But today we're going to be talking about the top 10, so I won't be going super in-depth on each of these characters because I've already done that in those videos. So if you want to know more about why each character deserves it, go to those and you can see why I make an argument for them. But today we're just going to get our top 10 out there. And I also just want to say that this top 10 is extremely hard. If you don't agree with my list, I encourage you to sit down and try to make this list for yourself of who is on this top 10 list. The rest of the series has been top 5, but I couldn't narrow this down to 5 because out of these top 10, you could just about move them all up and down the list in any order you would like, and you could look at it and be like, yeah, that's a solid list. But also, all of these 10 characters are very worthy of a generic gem. So if you don't agree with my placement of them, that's fine. Go ahead, let me know down in the comments if you think I left anyone off, or if you think I put someone on there a little bit too high or whatnot. Again, you can move them around almost anywhere. So let's go ahead and start this list off with number 10. The character that I feel like out of all of these 10, I think he's the one that I'd probably keep at 10 out of them, because I mean, it's such a rare item. We've only seen a handful of these in the game ever. So you want to make sure you're using it on someone that really benefits from the high sig, or from being awakened, as well as like is a benefit of a high sig. And is just a really good character overall. And for me, I put Dr. Doom at number 10. Reason being, he doesn't absolutely need the awaken ability. The extra power gain he gets from nullifying is nice to have, and you have a lot more shocks on the opponent. And he doesn't need the high sig, but the high sig is there for prestige, which is the main reason I'm putting him in the top 10, is for that prestige. Because if you're using a 6-star Awakening Gem, a lot of times you're someone who is in an alliance that's pushing for prestige because you're either a whale or you've just been playing the game long enough you have a really advanced account, so you can get access to these types of items. So Dr. Doom, worthy of the generic. I would have used one on him if I had one, but luckily I awakened him myself on Cyber Weekend of last year. Pulled him and got him awakened on the same day. So yeah, back to back. The Mystic Nexus was pretty insane, coming up on the 1-year anniversary from that opening, so that's pretty exciting. So that's Dr. Doom coming in at number 10 for me. Number 5, a champion that I actually did indeed use a generic Awakening Gem on. I would have loved to put him up higher on the list, but had to put him this low because some of the other characters are higher, and that is Captain America Infinity War. I used my generic that I got from 100%ing Abyss on this guy, and then I instantly threw 206 stones at him, and have not regretted it ever since. Once he's at the Sig 200, he has a 100% chance for everything in his Awaken ability. And that is kind of the one thing too, though, why he is lower down on the list, because he does really benefit from that high Sig. And if you're investing into him an Awakening Gem, you should probably invest your 6 stones, which that's a lot to invest into a character that isn't also going to give you that prestige. But the payout from it is immense, and I have no regrets doing it. I use him all the time. I've used him for so many things. Alliance War boss fights, I use him occasionally. I get assigned to use him. So yeah, Captain America Infinity War, definitely worthy of that generic Awakening Gem. Coming in at number 8, we're going to stick with the science class and move to the character who I put atop my list for the science class, and that was Void. Void, one of the OG characters in the game at this point, been around for quite a long time, still a fantastic character. Once he gets awakened, and ideally at a max sig, he's going to get a huge increase in attack, as well as access to Fear of the Void, which just it combines all of the debuffs into one, and then you stack your debuffs on top of that again, and you just do even more damage, more reversing of healing, reversing of power gain. You just have total control of the fight once you have Fear of the Void active. And getting him awakened is definitely what helps that with that, because that's how you get the Fear of the Void. But the reason I did put him above Cap on my science-based one and this one is because I made the argument there that while you get a huge benefit at max sig, it's not absolutely necessary to get a max sig. Like, sure, like, get as many sig zones as you want, as you have to put into him, and get him as high as you can. Then you're going to benefit more, of course. But it's more so just getting access to that Fear of the Void and getting all those extra benefits there that I think is more important. Whereas, like I said, with Cap, you get him awakened. You're using Awakening Gem on him. You want to have him at 100%, so sig 200. So that's where Void, I say it, prioritize Void just a smidge above Captain America Infinity War. And number 7, we're going to another character that I actually do not own currently, and that is going to be Kitty Pryde, one of the newer characters, but she is absolutely fantastic. I'm sure if I had her and I've experienced playing with her a little bit more, I maybe would put her up higher on the list, but for me right now, I had to put her at number 7, but she definitely gets a lot of utility added from her Awaken ability. She becomes the kind of reverse of Ghost. When she's dashing in, she phases and takes no damage. And all the stuff, she gets more combat power rate and the incinerates and everything, but mainly she gets the phasing ability when she's awakened. So Kitty Pryde, one of the best characters added in 2021. And I really hope I can get my hands on her. I don't know if she's going to be available in anything dropping tomorrow on Cyber Weekend, but if she is in there and I happen to pull her and I get a generic Awakening Gem or a mutant one, I would definitely consider using on her. I think she's very much worthy of a generic Awakening Gem. If you don't believe me, I believe Legacy, indeed, I'm pretty sure used his generic Awakening Gem on her. So if you don't trust me, go check out his video talking about why you should use it on her. Just outside the top 5 for me, I went ahead and put Corvus Glaive at number 6. Corvus Glaive, one of the best characters in the game still, especially if you run the Suicide Masteries. Give him a power back boost, a power start 1 in Alliance War, and you're just ending fights so quickly. I've done it so many times with him. The dude's an absolute beast. And even event quests, story quests, anything, just this guy, you're ending fights so fast with him. The damage is insane. And getting that Awakened ability, giving you access to that Glaive immortality is huge, because then you don't take the damage if you're at that 0, like 1% HP, you're not going to die. You can kind of play that high risk, high reward style of play that I kind of talked about in the Cosmic Awakening class based for this series. But yeah, you won't die. It's a huge utility that is super nice, that comes in handy so many times throughout the fight, and it definitely makes him worthy of that generic Awakening Gem. So officially cracking into the top 5, we got ourselves the second mutant on the list, and that is going to be Omega Red. A lot of people probably have this guy higher up on their list, but me personally, I do run the Suicide Masteries quite often, but when I do, it's usually Corvus or Ghost. I don't really get assigned to use Omega Red, and that might be because, I only recently got him up to rank 2. If I had him at rank 3, possibly, but still, I think for me, his playstyle it's just not for me. But I can't deny that he is an amazing character and definitely worth the generic. When I had a Mutant Awakening Gem that I used on someone else that I really considered using on Omega Red as well, but I definitely had the same debate. If it was a generic, I would have definitely considered Omega Red for it, because once he is awakened, you're going to be dealing extra damage when you're above 10 spores, and that's where having the Suicide Masteries on, you allow those spores to get up over 10 and stack to a high amount, and you're doing a lot more damage. So Omega Red, but getting him a high sig too is another important thing. So if you're going to use that Awakening Gem on him, you kind of want to get as many sigs into him as you can. So that is number 5 on the list. Moving right along into number 4, and that is Hercules, the guy who I put at the top of the Cosmic class above Corvus Glaive. because like I said, with Corvus, you're playing a bit more of a high risk, high reward when you get to that 1 HP. Because if you get hit, you're going to lose those charges and then die. Whereas with Hercules, you get to that 1 HP, you get your immortality, and you just feel invincible. You can't die, essentially, as long as you stay really aggressive. I mean, you can die, I definitely have. But if you're playing it right, you things go according to plan, then you can make that immortality last a very long time. And he does benefit from getting it to a higher sig level. He is in the top 10 in prestige. I can't remember exactly what number he is at this point. I said it in the video, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Hercules, a phenomenal character. Again, in that conversation for best character added in 2021, and one who is very much worthy of that generic awakening gem if you have one. I know he's in the current featured featured 6-star pool, and a lot of people probably have him or are hoping to pull him tomorrow for Cyber Weekend deals and getting him awakened. So hopefully, best of luck to all of you guys if that's what you're trying to do, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them getting ranked up. He, for me personally, might be my first rank 4. Haven't 100% decided, but right now he might be the leading candidate. And having his awakened ability is a huge part of that. It makes him very much worthy of a generic gem. That brings us now to the top 3, and if you've seen my series of all the other classes, you probably know who these top 3 are already. But again, if this is your first time watching anything of this series, you won't know, but you might still. But for number 3, I went ahead and put our third mutant of the list here at Archangel, coming in at number 3. Archangel getting access to his neurotoxins he already gets access to the neurotoxins, but the neurotoxins getting the ability accuracy reduction is huge, because then you're just shutting off so many different nodes, so many different characters' abilities, and it's just a huge help. And I argue that you don't need to have him at a high sig, because it's pretty easy to get on the neurotoxins. I'd find with my 6-star at only sig 20 that I'm getting enough neuros to shut off most things anyways, especially because I run him a lot with Apocalypse. If you have Apocalypse, you don't need to get him at a high sig. So that was part of the reason why I put him at number 1 above Omega. Omega, you want more sigs. You kind of really need the higher sigs. Archangel, you can get away with less sig stones. So that's why I put him number 1 for me. But on this list, he comes in at number 3, but still an amazing character. He is the one that I did use a Mutant Awakening gem over Omega Red on, and it worked out because then I awakened Omega naturally. But yeah, Archangel, again, kind of like Void, he's been around for a very long time, but still does an amazing job on so many different fights throughout the contest. So makes him earning of his spot at number 3. Now that brings us to the top 2, and at number 2, probably the 6-star that I am most desiring on my account right now, if not the most, one of the most. He's definitely in the top 3, I would say. Nicholas Fury. He just becomes such a beast once he's awakened. You get the life model decoy, and then once that goes away, your damage just shoots to the roof. And the best thing about this guy, you only need to take him up to sig 1. So use that awakening gem and you're good to go. I know a lot of people, including Prof Hoff, have been holding on to a 6-star generic for a couple months. I think he bought it on July 4th, and he's been holding it for Nick Fury specifically. And honestly, if I get a generic tomorrow from the Cyber Weekend deals and I don't pull a Nick Fury, I might just do the same. I might hold on to it until I get a Nick Fury. He's that much of a beast that he's worth holding on to it and not using it on some other characters. But Nick Fury, yeah, he becomes so good once he's awakened. Before he's awakened, he's, I wouldn't say unusable, but he's definitely not as enjoyable. You really want to get that awaken ability. But being able to get him awakened and only needing 1 sig level is a huge reason why I put him up all the way at number 2 on this list. And now the time we've all been waiting for. This one will probably come as no surprise to everyone out there. Number 1 in the entire game of who is the best character to use a generic 6-star awakening gem on is Ghost. And for me, I actually did this personally myself. I've had 2 6-star awakening gems in my career in this game, I guess you would say. And I used one on Captain America Infinity War from Abyss. The second one I used on Ghost, which I believe the second one I got from I don't remember actually what I got the second Awakening Gem from. It might have been Cyber Awakening deals last year, but I don't think I actually ended up buying that one. Maybe I did. I don't know. But either way, I used it on Ghost, and her Awakened ability, like Kitty Pryde, she gets access to her phase from her Awakened ability. And whenever she misses, whenever a character attacks into her and they miss, then she gains power based on your SIG level. So that's where also the higher the SIG level, the more power you're going to gain. So she is an investment like Captain America Infinity War. If you're going to use the gem, you want to put as many SIG stones into her as possible. And so that's why with her and Nick, I used the gem and I put all the SIGs that I could into her and him. Cap, I took straight up to 200. Her, I stopped at 180 just in case I ever dupe. That way I don't waste getting nothing from a max SIG crystal. It is what it is, you know. But Ghost, yeah, what I can't say anything else about her that hasn't been said. But I think she is arguably the best character in the game, and for me, the most worthy of using that generic Awakening Gem. So that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this series. Let me know down below if you agree with it. Best of luck, everyone, with Cyber Weekend deals, and a happy Thanksgiving as well. I'm posting this on Thanksgiving. And yeah, hope you guys get one of these characters on this list so you have someone to use a gem on if you get one. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.